Well, hi everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. Yes, this is your friend Ursie, and today marks the first day of 2023. So exciting to be part of this new year, new energy. So, what came up for me today to play would be to revisit our beautiful four royal stars yet again, to go deeper and start playing. Now that we've talked about each of them individually, I'd like to share them holistically. I'm just trusting the energy that I'm feeling about moving towards this idea of the four royal stars. The thing that's coming up for me after speaking with Sybil Starr, astrologer, um, this idea that we can each of us now focus on creating our own dreams to manifest in this new year, new energy. It is the year of the rabbit, the water rabbit. So, this idea of working within our emotions to populate those dreams, the positive ones that we want to manifest, is what's coming up. And as I've shared before, because we're such beautiful sparks of the divine incarnate, we have support surrounding us at all times. It's this idea of inviting in that help when needed, or imagining support for the future so it arrives exactly on time, even if we don't think we need it now. This is why I think my heart really wants to come back and start talking a little bit more about those royal stars. And I want to thank subscribers such as you I'm only pausing. I don't want to give names, but you know who you are. Thank you so much for encouraging me to continue to talk about the royal stars. I really appreciate all your subscriptions. When you decide to take one of Julia's classes, I really appreciate looking at the description information below and clicking on one of the affiliate links. If you decide to take one of Julia's galactic astrology courses, a portion of that comes back to support this playground. So thank you, thank you. So without further ado, let me get to my little slides. Oh, what a year it feels like. Over here in California, we've been experiencing massive amounts of rainwater. It's just huge and flooding. And so I say thank you, because we've been so much in a drought year. So this abundance and population of, that which we wanted has come in full force in January of 2023. Okay, so the four royal stars of heaven. Why is this so important? Especially if this is your first time popping in and listening. These are the four stars that help support this idea of the guardians of the heavens, the navigational 4 points, but also this idea of the archangels, this angelic energy working together to support humanity on earth. Okay, we know on a cosmic soul level that we are multidimensional beings having a human experience. But this idea that we are in 3D and we are living in duality and polarity. So when we do need support or require assistance, knowing whom to call in and working with these divine beings of the royal stars, it's the assistance that we didn't know we had made available to us. And let's just pause for a moment. If you were like me watching TV for the year-end imagery, it was interesting to see the top 10 scientific what was the top news with science. And so much of it really did call out for our galactic travel, our galactic imagery that's coming back with that NASA James Webb telescope. The first time ever, the Event Horizon telescope was able to pull together a composite of looking at the black hole for our Milky Way galaxy. So as our common mundane life is seeing these scientific innovations come forward, the spiritual and the scientific match. So look at these beautiful images of the royal star Regulus, the royal star Fomalhaut, the royal star Antares. Look at that golden orb. And the royal star Aldebaran. So let's start talking about them now a little more holistically. Oh, there's my wings. Okay, you've seen this slide before. It's coming from Julia Balaz and her Starseeds Teachable Courses. So we see the compass pointing to the north, the south, the east, and the west. These are also markers of time, the vernal equinox, the equal balance of light, the vernal meaning spring with Aldebaran, and then Antares holding the autumnal or fall equinox. And then we have these other points of time of the solstice, summer and winter. Just beautiful markers for the seasonal shifts in time. Interesting, right? Because we used to really need to understand these times as we became more agrarian. So when to plant, when to harvest, when to go within, when to go without. So it all goes back to this old-fashioned star constellation chart. It's interesting, right? Because it doesn't show the whole heavens. How do you take something three-dimensional and put it on a two-dimensional surface? So to help our visual awareness, I went to heavensatlas.com, and here you can see a little bit more of the constellations of the heavens. Again, many of you know there's 88 named constellations, and that's always within a kind of a living library as we find more stars, as we find more galaxies, thanks to the Hubble telescope. I'm sure we're going to be naming more. But going back to the ancients, you can see above my head a green circle, and then we see a red circle, a blue circle, and then a yellow. These are the four royal star areas looking at the cosmos of the heavens. Where are they? And so I created another slide for you, putting this in now. These are the images of thousands of years ago of calling in the Taurus constellation to hold the energy of Aldebaran, the royal star Aldebaran, again in green. To the red circle, it's the constellation Leo, holding the beautiful royal star Regulus. So see what I'm doing is I'm helping you match. Here we are in the heavens, and then what's the visual icon for not only the constellation, but who's holding that star? And then the blue circle, Antares, holding the scorpionic energy of Scorpio. And then the upside down fish for this one, it's the southernmost fish holding that beautiful, gorgeous star, Fomalhaut. Now, these are all new names to you. Please feel free to go back on the playlist for some fun star stories, and you can actually pull up a playlist on each of these stars. Okay, so there they are in the heavens. Look at that. We've got an upside down fish, we have a scorpion, we have a lion, and we have the bull. Isn't that interesting within the heavens, how we navigate the heavens by bringing in the iconography and the metaphor of the stories? So I'm bringing back the center image of a compass now. And I'm using this image and this slide to call in those seasons of light, the summer solstice and the winter solstice. That's north and south. And then to the east and the west, we have the spring and the autumnal equinoxes. It's very interesting, these pairings. And if you've gone on to Julia Balaz's wonderful calculator, galacticastrochart.com, to get your free natal report, you're always going to see if you have the Watcher of the East in a soul connection to that beautiful Aldebaran star, you're always going to have Antares show up. This is the holder of the East and the West. And when you start researching some of the ancient stories about the East and the West, you can tell that the primitive cultures And I'm only saying primitive in terms of the timeline. It's not to say that they were less knowledgeable than us, but the primitive man would say, wow, look, the sun is being born in the east, and then it goes all day and it dies in the west. So this idea of holding the east and the west, the beginning, right? And look at, here's spring, that moment of birth. The seeds are sprouting, beginning new life. So again, that spring equinox when we start our calendar, and then the sun moving through a life and ending as we and the plants die, as the sun dies or appears to die as night falls. Okay, so I'm talking about this beautiful axis between the Taurus constellation and Scorpius. Okay, Taurus, the bull, earth, Scorpio, water. So spring and fall, interesting times, the time to be born and a time for harvesting, to reaping what you have sown. Do you see how that axis, reap what you've sown? So again, when you find that you have those soul connections to these particular royal stars, they'll come as a package. I feel like it's the alpha and the omega energy of beginning and ending. But again, it's transformational, and we know that energy doesn't die, just our particular vehicles. What do I have for you next? Okay, because my mom was a school teacher, I'm just trying to re-echo and bring in these visuals again. So thanks, Mom, for helping me learn to give greater clarity and slow the energy down so we can inhale this beautiful message of the four royal stars, the four guardians of the heavens, and the four archangels. All right, so here I now have paired the iconography and the position of the star with its star itself. So you see the bull, you know, this beautiful royal star is sitting on the left, excuse me, am I doing it again? Let's see. Yes, it looks like it's the left eye of the bull. And there's the star holding the spring. And remember we said Scorpio and Taurus, Alpha and Omega. Now let's look to the top of the chart. Okay, this is where we've got royal star Regulus, the lion, the heart of the lion. So many of us like, oh, do we have the royal star Regulus, the king star in our chart? What type of leadership, what type of energy does this star give you? Well, it is the summer solstice, okay? And watcher of the north. These are beautiful metaphors. Also, equal and opposite is Piscis Austrinus, the constellation that's holding the beautiful watcher of the south, Fomalhaut, the winter. So summer and winter. Isn't it interesting, the dual opposites, right? The time of the greatest light and the time of the darkest day. So light and dark, summer and winter, the solstice, having to do with the amount of light and tracking the sun. So I took it one step further for you visual learners out there. I put in the beautiful card deck imagery from Diana Cooper. Bless her heart, she is such an incredible light and soul. Any of her card decks, again, Diana Cooper, are quite amazing. But these ones are the archangels. At the top, Raphael, working with that king star. Aldebaran, holding that archangel Michael light. Gabriel, working with Fomalhaut, and then Antares. Look at that star. I always pause because that golden, red, orange, it's so, I don't know, it just causes me to go, wow, love that color. Oh, and I wore my golden jacket today to help celebrate the first day of the new year. I have these little segues. So, going a little deeper now, I created 4 of these photo montages to go a little bit more into the stories of the archangels. Again, their energy working with these 4 royal stars. What does it mean? People have asked if I have all royal star soul connections in my chart. Well, today I'm going to just play with you and say it means to pay attention and absorb these images to find out how you tune into this energy or not using your discernment. Okay, Archangel Raphael, God heals. Oh, I'm getting a chill saying those 2 words, God heals. So when we talk in our 3rd dimension about, oh, the king star, the royal star, we're thinking leadership and, sovereignty. Who's your kingdom? Where's your kingdom? Who are your people? How are you leading? All that is typically in the mundane, but at a very high level, spiritual and vibrational level, the word Raphael, God heals, this beautiful green, that specific emerald green color of healing. When God heals with the beautiful Archangel Raphael, this is where true leadership, true queenship, kingship, sovereignty begins. And if you do a little research, you know that there's a story about King Solomon. When we think about the kings of history, King Solomon, Solomon's seal, it's divine leadership. It's God and man working together to heal and protect the country, your people. What is the cautionary tale? Revenge. Revenge doesn't heal. Revenge hurts. It brings in dis-ease, disease. So I invite each of us to reflect within, especially if you have a soul connection to Royal Star Regulus. Show me, Archangel Raphael, show me if and how I carry revenge for any person on this timeline, previous timelines, or future timelines, so that I can be in balance to work with this energy of God healing. It's the messages of healing light. So beautiful. So, what could destroy a king or queen? It is revenge. Revenge has no place when you're working with this vibrational energy of the highest level of healing. Right behind me is the medical, excuse me, I'll go a little further, the medical sign of what's called the caduceus. It's 2 snakes entwined. Many who've done yoga understand this idea of kundalini yoga coming from the base, this energy of the kundalini, the 2 serpents working together towards healing, not about the evil snake, but serpentine energy working holistically within the body. Again, as a divine leader, Archangel Raphael is calling you to work with the restoration of healing light on all levels and clearing out any revenge that might be in the front of your brain or behind in this lifetime or previous lifetimes. You may not recognize it. It can be very subtle. It's this idea of, you weren't there for me. I'm going to take my revenge later. It may be as subtle, again, as I mentioned, I'm just not talking to you anymore. I'll show you. Or other types of ancestral traits that were learned along the way. So revenge, waiting for somebody or the moment to strike. It only will hurt you and will tear down your kingdom. So if you can work with this idea of transmuting this word revenge, your kingdom to support the healing light and working with God's healing is abundant and right before you. Okay, what's the next one? It's Archangel Gabriel. These angels, just so you know, don't have gender. We like to anthropomorphize them and say, oh, Gabriel, are you a male or a female? And the answer is yes, yes, I am. Because there's a story that before we were male or female, we were conjoined as one to have this unity like the angels do with both your masculine and your feminine principles, the energies. Okay? I don't know why I went on that segue, but here we go. Archangel Gabriel. God is my strength. Yes, God is my strength is the name Gabriel. That is the energetic carried in that intonation of Gabriel, 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 God's divine messenger. So we see this little picture above me. Yes, that is a Leonardo da Vinci, the Annunciation. It's a fragment. You can see it in Florence's Uffizi gallery. But there is this idea of the divine messenger. And also in Florence, let's see, there, that way. Oh my gosh, the beautiful, beautiful Annunciation to Mary. Here comes, you know, Fra Angelico. They named him Brother Angel because all he did was paint angels. Well, not all, but he painted in the glory of the angelic kingdom, working with God and man to help support this soul's expansion. So here we are, these beautiful images, and above my head is the royal star Fomalhaut. The center is the star, and what's radiating out is gas and debris, and it's forming this elliptical, almost eye-like circumference. It's astonishing. Okay, so this royal star Fomalhaut is holding up the heavens in the south. It's the southernmost fish. What is the challenge to beware of? It's this word hubris. And if you heard me before, I didn't know really what that word was. It's like, huh? Hubris. We don't usually use that word too much out here in California. However, doing the research, it's another word for arrogance or thinking that you're all that and you know all and others just don't. So if the message is polluted in any way or taken just even slightly out of the light of God as the divine and holy message, if messages are distorted, excuse me for saying this, but whatever we consider as false messages, if this is again a star showing up in your beautiful soul connections in your chart, beware this idea of obfuscation, this idea of only telling part of the truth. Well, I said the truth. Yeah, but did you say the whole truth? Or did you say you can't remember when you really did? So, this idea of speaking your truth with God as your strength, Gabriel. Some of these angel stories really are much more than we imagine. So we hear Gabriel mentioned in the Old and New Testament. That in fact, that leads me to our next angel. Here we go, Uriel. Wow. It's a fascinating star. This is the one that I just go, loving that beautiful orange, red, golden light. This is the light of God. Okay, I think I may have shared with you, I did get this message that I received this word painter and then light of God. I thought it was, I'm supposed to paint the content of the light of God. And instead, I think today it was also this light of God, Uriel, working with this archangel energy. So for me, it's like, Ursula, pay attention, the light of God. And so we see and we remember that this light of God, this rainbow light, all of this amazing light, has this idea working with the royal star Antares to have the vision of the future, to do strategic planning. But what is the caution? like a way above my head. That's Mariah Carey on the cover of her CD album from a while ago called Obsessed. Yes, obsession. Are you so focused that you lose the big picture? Do you just focus on the tree? I'm going to get that wrong. The forest for the trees. I'll get that wrong. But here we go. I'm so obsessed on the detail that I can't pull myself back to see the whole dashboard. There, that feels better. So Archangel Uriel, the light of God. And you can substitute that word if you don't like God, the light of source creation, the light of all that is, the light of the beginning. So there we go. Thank you, Archangel Uriel, for working with the scorpionic energy and holding the beautiful star Antares. Beware obsession. Okay, here is the fourth and final royal star to talk about today. And this is a name that we will also see in the Bible. We'll see Michael, Raphael, Gabriel. I'm not sure if we're going to find Uriel or Oriel, Oriel in the Bible, but here comes Michael, made in the image of God, or the image of God. Doesn't that remind you of Genesis, Adam? If you say that with a T, atom, Atom, we as human beings were made in the image of God. And here is Archangel Michael sitting at the throne with source creation. It is this beautiful and powerful archangelic energy of the protector. He's always got that sword. And earlier I talked about that sword of protection. In ancient and art history, we'll see that he's typically got his sword plunged into whatever is considered evil, whether it's the devil, the serpent, the dragon, whatever man creates as the opposite of that which is God is that which is not God, that which is good, that which is not good. So this idea of polarity showing up around Archangel Michael, the greatest light with the greatest darkness, always finding one another. So if you have that beautiful royal star Aldebaran in your soul connection, here's the nemesis to beware of as you move forward now. It's this idea of the loss of moral integrity. Those are some big words. Like, what does it mean, losing moral integrity? Well, here, when I talked about what is good and what is not good, you kind of know in an intuitive sense, you do know what is good, what is right for you in that moment. But when our mind comes in to rationalize behavior that is not of God, an example that's coming up for me right now is to fight an unholy war, to kill in the name of God, you know? So I'm just holding that energy. Is it ever okay to kill in the name of God? You know, an eye for an eye. Think how many lives have been lost in our history, our human history, because this idea of I'm killing in the name of God, I'm doing this for a higher source, that perhaps could be interpreted as losing moral integrity. Because when each of us tunes inward and sits with our higher selves and connects with source creation, a different answer may come up that may surprise you. So morality, judgment, knowing which way to turn. Here we go. It's up for us in this new energy, right? So this is why I'm talking about the royal stars. I think each of us, if you choose to inhale this idea of as we ascend and lighten and become higher vibratorially, what are we going to find out about ourselves? Are we going to find out that we don't want to play in this trauma drama of cowboys and Indians? Whether you're a cowboy or an Indian, are you going to justify, you know? And this idea of, I'll just say it, Volodymyr Zelensky. I don't know what happened there, but Volodymyr Zelensky. Imagine if he moved out of moral integrity with his fight, or Putin moving out of moral integrity for what we call his fight. Looks like I have to pause for a moment. Sorry for the interruption, but here we go. Yes, Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. Isn't it interesting, the timing of this ridiculousness? Okay, so one question would be to ask, on a world stage, why is this happening? This idea of life and death, good and evil on so many different levels. Well, we can always invite Archangel Michael, to guide us, to protect us, but also working with the royal star Aldebaran and tracking this star and inviting it and engaging with it to ask for its support as well. So if you're at a point where, you could use some extra assistance, uh, we're having catastrophic flooding actually in certain parts of California. So it's the idea that when something comes in, yes, requesting assistance from our star family, from source, and from the angels is something that I'm starting to learn how to do more so, given everything happening in our world. So, but I want to hold this in balance. So this idea of losing any moral integrity, even if it's like, well, but it's for the greater good, that's rationalizing. Okay, sometimes we have to remember to speak truth to truth. So yes, speaking truth to power, but speaking truth, because if we work with this beautiful star's energy, we, any of the four stars, the highest level is this idea of, yes, worldly success at the highest of heights. And it's not always about money, but it's successful living. Okay, so this next slide just puts a composite of all of it together. Yes, I know it's red, but the red is to help remember this is the Nemesis. So really understanding who you're up against, this idea. If you've got Regulus in your soul connection, really tune in and work with, how does revenge come in your life? It would be a fall from grace or the loss of a kingdom. If your kingdom is your family and you created a revenge situation, you could lose your family. This is how the narrative goes. Working with Aldebaran, this idea of lacking moral integrity that we just spoke of with Archangel Michael. Here's the thing, there's, if you're working out of integrity, you won't be given that type of assistance. You'll almost find a way of putting yourself in isolation. So that is what, the bigger picture. I'm not saying it's A to B in the near term. These things sometimes take a course of action, but without assistance and left alone, imagine being on an island by yourself. Well, and some people might prefer that, you think, but try practicing it. Okay, and the last thought on that is, I've heard psychologically we are created to be in community, whether that's a small community or large. So this idea of isolation, the undoing. How would going against the royal star Fomalhaut be? If you work with arrogance and you work with, I know it all, take it from me, I've got the truth, or you take messages and you distort them, this hubris will lead you to being cast out of the community as well and being named as a false prophet. Okay, and when we work with the Nemesis of Antares, so much obsession, so little time, right? There's no joy in a life that is always obsessed, because you go from one obsession to the next and it's very much like, so where's the joy? Because obsession doesn't usually work with being here now. Like, look at the whole picture. You're in the micro, but what about the macro? Like, isn't the whole name of the game to enjoy and to be in integrity and coherence and expanding yourself. So obsession would be the undoing for that beautiful royal star of Antares. And in the center picture, I have, again, this yin yang. It's always balancing and learning. But knowing what the antagonist is always a helpful hint as we are working with these stars. And then I wanted to leave you with this image of the integration of you within yourself, connecting with your higher self, with your star families of support. It's always about this idea of going within first to meet and greet your creator, your higher self, this connection to all that is. And who's here to help us? Again, I put the four beautiful stars, the heart of the lion, the eye of the bull's eye, the heart of the scorpion, or the fish receiving the beautiful water of consciousness from Aquarius, the fish's mouth. So when we work with these four royal stars, and even if you don't have a soul connection to them, now that you're made aware of what they're involving, you have this awareness and you can call them in during your meditation practice, your yoga, your spiritual walk, whatever spiritual practice you have and choose to have. And then, dun, 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 here we are into this beautiful moment of 2023 in the heavens. We're all part of this incredible dance of the cosmos. What will we choose with our free will? Will we choose to build and create this bounty and support others through healing and divine messages, support and protection and long-range planning? Or will we choose the shadow side and play in that pond for a little bit to help inform, oh, don't want that, or do want that? So it's this idea of without the judgment, just knowing the name of the game. How do you want to play? It's all about you and your expansion. Thank you so much for joining me on this Ascension Playground. My main intention for 2023 is to go deeper. So thank you for allowing me to go deeper on this little bit of a little bit of a share. Thank you, thank you. And if you have suggestions about what you'd like to see coming forward on the playground, feel free to put a comment in the box below. If you're interested in signing up for one of Julia Balaz's Galactic Astrology classes, please use the affiliate link below. And lastly, I so appreciate all the subscribers who've hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Your support keeps me going because I'm trying to balance this idea of what path, back to the painting studio or to continue and playing on the playground. And maybe it's a harmonious blend of both. We'll see. Take care, everybody, and see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now.